So just a little bit about our family. We're 2 of 5 boys. We grew up here in Topeka, Catholic family.
I think we had a wonderful childhood. You know, we had all the support and nurturing from both of our parents. We both had dreams and aspirations and goals.
Our dad was an air traffic controller, and our family pretty much lived off of just his income. And then my mom, our mother, started going to nursing school. You know, all of a sudden, you know, our family had, you know, twice as much income. And so we went from 501 school district, you know, out to 437, which is, you know, higher socioeconomic status. People clicked up, and I was so much out of my element that I didn't really know where I fit.
I remember having a lot of feelings of indifference, not fitting in. I think using drugs and alcohol allowed me to be a part of something, you know.
Something about drug use seemed glamorous to me.
When the experimentation with drugs and alcohol began, I mean, we both did it together, you know. At that time too, I think our parents were divorcing.
And so the combination between becoming, you know, a teenager, the move from one school district to another, and then our parents split, you know, was kind of the catalyst, you know, to want to kind of escape what we were feeling. First drug I picked up was, you know, nicotine cigarettes, and even though I didn't get high off of it, I got a change in how I felt. You know, I felt different. I felt cool because, you know, it was something I shouldn't be doing. So it gave me a little bit of a rush. You know, I started smoking pot and taking LSD regularly when I was about 14. You know, still pretty much functioning okay in school at that time. And then by the time I got to high school, that's when I found stimulants. And, you know, I remember the first time I tried cocaine, and I was hooked the first time I tried it. I kind of started using methamphetamine, you know, here and there. But, you know, really during those teenage years, it was alcohol, marijuana, and cocaine. And, you know, I remember the first time I used meth, you know, looking at the 2 or 3 days I was up, you know, and I had this 3 or 4 hour period where I was just, you know, felt very euphoric, you know, was really enjoying, you know, myself and my time with my friends. And the next 2 days was just horrible. I couldn't sleep. I felt like I, you know, was gonna, you know, I had nausea, and, you know, I told myself I'm never gonna do this again. And then 2 weeks later, I picked it back up. You know, and then so that kind of what we used to call polysubstance abuse, where you kind of use just whatever you can get your hands on, continued well until I was about 30 years. No, I quit when I was 30. Continued until I was about 25, and then when I was 25, it was just methamphetamines. You know, and somewhere along the way, I became an IV drug user. Our drug addictions were so tied to each other for so many years, and you know, we owned a house together, we lived together, and the relationship that we had, you know, we had built, you know, as brothers throughout the years started to crumble.
It was terrible, yeah.
You know, I mean, I just look at the destruction of our house.
Oh God.
You know, the house that we lived in, at one point in time, the water got shut off.
Yeah.
You know, in my addict mind, I thought, well, nobody will know if I tear the copper pipes out. And so I had torn our own copper pipes out, and I blamed it on someone else.
Having to, you know, like take what we called like a bird bath, you know, like filling up 5-gallon jugs and taking a shower in the basement, you know, or having to, you know, use the restroom at the grocery store, you know. It was pretty bad.
I had just came out of a short period of sobriety, and I was working for a moving company. And I think I had been off the needle about 2 years. And we were down in this basement. It was a 3-day move job, so, you know, plenty of time at this house. And I saw a box of diabetic syringes. And I went home that night, and I just kept thinking about it over 3 days and just kept obsessing. I ended up using some of those syringes later that day. 6 months later, I lost my job. I lost custody of my son. I came close to death, and it also set the stage for my rock bottom. I remember reaching a point, like I can't live life with drugs, I can't live life without drugs. My family members kind of all came together to try to get me some help. And they talked me into going to Valeo Detox. And it took them 6 hours to get me there because I wanted just one more. I remember I just kept saying that, please, just one more, just one more. A couple hours after I got there, I see Joe in the cafeteria, and I just remember just being overcome with emotion and just kind of like the amount of hope that I felt in that moment. I finally wanted something different. And then Valeo wrapped me in services, you know, and I started to see that like a new life wasn't just possible, but that there were people getting it. For the first time in my life, I really started to believe that I could get a handle on this thing. Just knowing that everybody there wanted nothing more than my success. We didn't know how to cope with life. And so Valeo started giving us the tools and then helped us understand, you know, how we were going to carry this on in the community.
If it wasn't for Valeo, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be a father. I wouldn't have a family. You know, we'd probably still be doing the things that we were doing, or dead or incarcerated, you know.
I remember getting close to the time when, you know, when my treatment was going to be over, and I thought, if I could just live here forever. And so that's why I worked there. Because of Valeo, we get to wake up every day and ask ourselves, you know, how can we be a better person? I didn't know what my purpose was, but going to Valeo Recovery Center helped me define who I am. Going back to school was something I had dreamed about for a long time. I would literally have dreams about it. So now I'm 4 months away from graduating with a bachelor's in human services and an emphasis in addictions counseling and victim survivor services. Valeo Recovery Center is so important to the Topeka community. I think people should care about addiction in the community because we are a community. Addiction is not something that I saw coming. And then once it developed, it was not something I had control over. I celebrated 5 years this past Saturday.
5 years and 5 months.
I know I couldn't have done this without you, and I'm just so fortunate that we've got to go on this journey together. I love you, man.
I love you too.